Monday at 11:30 Pacific Time on Transformation Talk Radio, as she and her guests share powerful stories of neurodiverse experiences, navigating a world not built for diversity. Connect with Dr. Lori Noto today at Noto Holistic Consulting.
Hi, I'm Gwenem Carsley, transformational body, sex, and soul coach. Skin and Soul is not for the tame. It's for the parts of you that ache in silence, that pulse in the dark. It's where truth slips beneath the skin, where longing, death, and desire kiss. Strip down, breathe deeper. Remember what it means to be alive. Join me Fridays at Skin and Soul, 10 a.m. PST on Transformation Talk Radio.
Are you ready to listen to your soul? Discover the power of pausing and turning in on Our Soul Whisper with Kathy Belmont and Dr. Pat. This sacred show offers a safe space for self-discovery, healing, and soulful transformation. Let your inner voice rise, be heard, and gently guided into expression. Tune in every first and third Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. Subscribe now so you never miss the whisper meant just for you. Visit OurSoulWhisper.com.
Tired of feeling exhausted as a parent? I would love to help you with a new vision for yourself that is focused on intentional wellness parenting. My name is Aurelie Cormier, and I have over 40 years experience with complex cancer patients. I offer consultations, coaching, and educational programs for parents who want to boost their health and reduce risk of disease, especially cancer. For more information, go to aureliecormier.com.
Welcome to Aligned Energy with me, Manon, a place where ancient wisdom meets modern health and wellness. People are waking up, questioning who they are and why they're here. For high-performing women, the climb to success can leave them feeling stuck, depleted, or disconnected. But what if the answer isn't in doing more, but in aligning with your true essence? I'm Manon Deverich, and together with Dr. Pat, this show is about coming home to yourself unapologetically. Through education, ancient wisdom, and modern science, we explore energy as the foundation of healing and transformation. Join us now on Aligned Energy and step into the life you were meant to live. Aligned Energy starts now. Hello, hello. Welcome back to Aligned Energy. I'm Manon here with Dr. Pat. How's everybody doing today? We are super glad that you're with us today to join this conversation. I must say, this is coming up more and more for me, which is always what prompts me to bring these topics to you. I feel like they're in the field circulating, and the things that I'm writing about and the conversations that I'm having seem to be growing and growing. And so here we are to tackle it and bring them to you. And hopefully that will stir some deeper conversation within yourself. So I want to start this with a sentence that I hear over and over again from the women that find their way into my world. And maybe it's something that they say out loud on our first call or in our first meeting, or maybe it's just something that I am recognizing that they are feeling but haven't found words for. And it goes something like this: I just can't keep living like this. Or I just can't do this anymore. Right? Maybe you've said it. Maybe you've thought it in the middle of the night. Maybe you've talked yourself out of it by the time you get up and start your day and start going through the motions in the morning. But I suspect that it is sitting just underneath everything that a lot of midlife women are doing and thinking right now, just very quietly, very persistently, to varying degrees, starting to percolate. So I want to offer this to you today, that is not a cry of defeat. I've come to believe that is a transmission. That is something that your higher self is trying to wake you up to in your body. And as you, I'm sure, have already begun to feel, these types of things happen more subtly and then grow increasingly harder to ignore over time. So
I encourage you, if you're willing to listen to it, to go on this journey with yourself and with your sisters
Yeah.
and all of those around you to some place that you could not possibly have planned. And it's scary. It's scary to walk away from identities and material possessions. And these are the kinds of things that we're going to talk about today, like what that really looks and feels like, and finding that courage and community to take those steps. But also the alternative is just it's not going to go away on its own, especially because I believe in this field of consciousness that we're living in. We're being forced through all of this chaos,
Yeah.
through this transformation to make different choices, make conscious choices, and quite honestly, kind of shake ourselves out of this matrix and programming that we've found ourselves in to consciously choose how to live and how to live with fulfillment and joy and fun and recognize that this is supposed to be fun, right? This isn't supposed to be stressful. I really believe that. I think that we were given this body to have this human experience, and certainly we have things that we've been presented with that we need to work through karmically and dharmically and um, to grow the experience for our souls and for the collective. Um, but I just don't want people to feel like they're a victim. I
Mm,
want people to recognize that they do have conscious choice. So,
mm.
Dr. Pat, let's
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah. I love this framework. And let me tell you why. I love coaching couples. Doesn't matter, heterosexual couples, LGBT community, it doesn't matter. I love doing this because what I find is there is so much discovery when two people, but here's the kicker in what you said. I can't keep living like this. I remember being at a session not too long ago, right, that I was facilitating, and one of the partners said, I can't keep living like this. And the other person says, what's the this? What's the this? Like, is it the laundry? Is it what is the this? And you see, I love that when you get two people together, just like you and I are today,
Mhm.
because half the time we shout that out when we're past the boiling point. We're the
Yeah.
frog trying to jump out of the water, but we've been in the water for so long and slowly the heat is turned up that we don't even know. And so those are the kinds of questions that open a door. What's the
Yeah.
this? Isn't that a question we have to figure out?
It's so perfect and it's so simply put. And I know that I personally can say that it wasn't until things got past the point of return with my
Yep.
relationship that I even said anything. And he was totally blindsided and was like, "Well, what was the point where you felt like this?" Or like, "What was the one thing that happened?" And it's a progression. It's a series of stacked things that aren't said, decisions that are, you just don't make because you feel like you're going to rock the boat or that it's going to cause more stress and anxiety to do that. And you just let things build and build and build. And I'm here to tell you that it's not going to get better on its own. So my hope is that we can reach people before they've gotten to the point of no return or to the point of being incredibly painful, where you can start recognizing them earlier on and be
Yeah.
able to start asking some good questions and taking
Yeah.
some actions and
Yeah.
speaking up and all these
Yeah.
things.
Because the next thing that comes out of your mouth, which is very difficult to get back in, the next follow-up is I'm done.
Yeah.
You understand the difference between I can't keep living like this and I'm done. One closes every exit. It doesn't even appreciate any conversation, but it still begs the same question with the same couple. You're done? What are you done with? Are you done with the kids? Are you done? You don't like to cook? Do we need to do takeout? But when you're in that state, it's hard to articulate it, isn't it? It's like what you said. when you get past the boiling point, and we're watching this. We're watching this in the macro world of women's basketball right now. Now, I'm not going to talk about that today, but we're watching it. We're watching, I can't keep ... I'm done ...
Yeah. Yeah.
But in a person's life, you don't really want to get to that point. That's what you're going to help us with today, so that we don't have to get to the place where we surrender to defeat.
Yeah. And we've talked about this before, that what's going on in the inner is reflected in the outer, right? And also, there's only so much that we can influence, like on this macro scale. So let's focus on what we can
Exactly.
influence. And I do
Exactly.
trust that if we can focus there, be the change we want to see in the world, right? Just focus on ourselves. That is going to influence at least your day to day, your community, your
Yeah.
family, and trust that if everybody is doing this around the world, then things are going to be changing.
Yeah.
But
I will tell you this, though, and this is the last time I'm going to mention it. I've gotten more new clients, women, who have passed the boiling point of what's happening in the WNBA. And when they come to work with me, I do not talk about that, because what happens is when you see somebody so angry, so crying, like breaking down, like they didn't break up with anybody, nobody died, but they're coming into a session and they are out of their minds. It's
yeah,
a time to now say, what part of you feels hurt by what you're seeing? See, this is what you're talking about. But
yeah,
people do not have tools. They do not have tools. And so today, you're going to bring us through what the stages are we go through as women. What is it? And here's a question that we may not get to. Why do women talk about these stages and men don't? Another show. All right, take it away. So what are the stages we're talking about?
yeah. Well, not unlike the Phoenix Arc, they are, you're gonna have the first stage of um, the breaking, right? The breaking up of what you thought that you were. Then you're gonna have the becoming, which is this transmutation, this rising from the ashes into something new, and then the rising, which is stepping into that full potential that we have. So we alluded to this, but your body has been speaking to you for years, right? And we keep treating these symptoms that come up, right? The insomnia, the weight gain, the numbness, like the weird pains that start happening in our hips, in my hips specifically. And you're just trying to say, like, what is this? Where did this come from? And then you just assume that it's from something, you medicate for it, you keep going on. It's not actually healing. So I believe, and I think you believe, if I'm not putting words in your mouth, is that it's your body saying, come back to yourself. This body has massive amounts of innate intelligence and wisdom in it. And all of these things are not for no reason. So if I guess the invitation is for you to consider what it is that you're being told, what it is that you're being invited into, what it is that's working and not for you. Where where have you been performing something that is not aligned with your soul's purpose, maybe for decades? Climbing a corporate ladder, uh, living in a relationship that has so much friction and tension because you feel like you're not allowed or not supposed to be happy or leave or prioritize yourself. Maybe you haven't felt safe or heard. And maybe somebody told you what you were supposed to be doing for a living or how you were supposed to be living. And that just, it never really felt good, but you swallowed it because that was the path of least resistance. So I really feel like all of this tension and resistance and pain and suffering is actually your body trying to shake you awake to say,
Yeah.
hey, you actually are this unique, beautiful soul that has all of these talents and gifts to share with the world. And now is the time that you're supposed to do that. You can't wait anymore. The world needs you to step into your unique gifts and to speak them out into the world and to give other people the permission to do that now. And I feel like that is your life force. That is what's animating us. And it doesn't want to be silenced anymore.
Yeah. I love talking about these phases because we know enough now to have a conversation about this. When we are caught, what have you heard this? Here's another one. Oh, I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. Okay. And then you find out a week later, whoever said that has got major back pain. Oh, like, oh my God, I can't walk, I can't stand up. And then you probe deeper, right? So the stuckness stuff doesn't just dissipate. It's not like we turn on a stuckness dehumidifier and it goes in the thing and dehumidifies and you're okay. But if we understand what it is and we understand that everything is connected the way you talked about, and we understand there are stages, then we understand what the back holds, what the knee holds, what the neck holds, what the arm holds. Because you said it, our body is trying to tell us.
Yeah.
But what is it going to take, Manon, for us to stop and say, what is my body trying to tell me right now? What am I not getting?
The most simple answer to that is courage. Courage to choose you, to prioritize yourself and honor yourself and your innate knowing of what decisions need to be made.
Yeah.
Because that's what I hear everybody say is, well, I can't because, or I don't have a choice because. No, you always have a choice. We've said this before. What you don't change, you choose. Period.
Yeah.
Sit with that for a second. Are you willing to just let this keep going because of somebody else to make somebody else's life better?
Yeah.
No, I would say that if you can summon the courage to have some really hard conversations with yourself and decisions and draw a line in the sand, everybody around you, it might be a shock at first, but they are all going to be better off, especially your kids are going to be better off.
Yeah.
Do you know what the number one predictor of a kid's success is?
No,
in
I
life?
don't.
Their mother's happiness.
Oh, amen to that, sister.
Yeah.
But but here's what it is, right? Don't you think it comes from a lack of understanding? And the reason I bring this up, I reached out to my friend Monica Sicard about a week ago. We haven't connected yet. Why did I do that? Okay. Monica and I, thanks to her Lakota traditions, thanks to my work with Indigenous people, and also finding out, my family tribe in Brazil. So a lot of things discovered. So I reached out to Monica and I didn't understand why I was doing that. But here's why. What did I learn? What did we learn when we took kids starting? I think we started at age 9 through 13 through 9-month process, coming of age process.
Wow.
What did we learn about what people in indigenous cultures, what did we learn from that? And I had forgotten that. And my goal to reach back out to her was to say, Monica, why aren't we not doing this anymore? Okay. But we can have an understanding about midlife and other things. What's your experience? Can't we understand ourselves better by looking at the way some cultures look at their process?
I wish we could all have a coming of age process like that. Can you imagine
Oh my
what a
gosh.
difference that would be?
I'm going to do a show with her because, I was telling Linda the other day, I was talking about doing this show with you. And I was talking about the stages you're going to get ready to talk about now, the four distinct thresholds, right? And I was saying, you know what? I said, I think that the cultures I studied with don't put an age on them, so to speak. And I said, when Monica and I took these kids and there was a team of people and we had to put the parents through it because the kids got too smart. They were smarter than their parents. And that was a problem. And you watch them come in and Monica and I was talking about this one young person, a boy, family gave up on him. ADD, ADHD, autistic, couldn't sit down. Our first orientation day, I just looked at Monica and she just smiled because she knew that going through what we're about to talk about now, going through this process, going through the understanding, when he stood up 9 months later in front of 3,000 people and read his credo, it wasn't that day one kid. So walk us through these stages, because understanding them from the context of our own personal journey may open up a doorway for people to hit the pause button before they go into road rage.
Yeah. Well, there are a couple things that we're going to layer on top of each other here. So we have these three stages that I mentioned before, right? Like the breaking down, the becoming, and the rising, the emerging. But also, I feel like it was this huge aha moment when I realized that we have this liminal space that we're living in when we are stepping away from the person that we no longer are, whether it's our doing or not. We find ourselves, let's say, in this liminal space where I can't go back to this old life anymore, this old me, but I know that there's something more and that I have this vast potential. I just don't know what that is yet. And I'm just going to trust that if I stay the course, that this new life is going to present itself to me and it's going to be bigger and better and beautiful and all of these things. But it's really rocky right now and I'm going back and forth. What I just was presented with that made so much sense to me was this spectrum of that I think the becoming gives a larger meaning to. And we think of women's lives in two phases, like the younger woman and then the older woman, with menopause being some kind of dividing line. But the wisdom that traditions hold is something like more niche, or it's more richer than that. There's actually, I was earlier presented with three distinct thresholds, where you are the maiden, and then you become a mother, and then you're the crone, the wise one. But there are now somehow four thresholds, which I think is brilliant. I don't know when this showed up, but in between the mother and the crone is this period which is now being called the sovereign woman. It's also, I've heard it called the magi, kind of like this concept that there's this magic wise time where women recognize and have all of this learning and awareness that they've come into, but they're not old enough to be the crone, right? And so it's this amazing time where you are the sovereign woman, where you are taking your agency back. You are recognizing what you want and what you like. And instead of shopping for everybody else, you're buying things at the store that you want. You're trying to decide what you want to do with whatever free time that you have. You're saying yes to things that you really are lit up by. You're saying no to things that you just feel an instant cringe or withdrawal from. That's what it means to step into your agency. And I feel like there's this period of time, I'll call it from the early 40s to at least the mid 50s, maybe 60-ish, that is this sovereign woman period. And I love that so much, because it really paints this picture that most women in midlife are being called towards, but don't have language for.
Yeah. 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 And everybody thinks that's widespread, that we know that. Everybody thinks, oh,
Who thinks that? Who
oh,
knows that?
oh, oh, yeah. No, we go through something that we do not have a single bit of understanding about. All we know is the pain of it, you see? And if you're lucky enough to work with a Manon, then you will understand the dynamic nature of it. And so there is an outcome that happens when we understand, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think at the heart of it, it's recognizing that you're leading from your own center instead of just reacting to everyone else around
Right.
you, and doing that intuitive women thing that we do, which is making sure everybody else is cared for before we can relax.
Yeah.
Then when we get to finally relax, we're like, what do I even want?
You know what that looks like, Manon? Tell you what that looks like. You're sitting down and you're having a movie night.
Okay.
Remember the movie night? I think some people do that. Actually, the truth of the matter is we are having more movie nights at home. But you know what the difference is?
But
Johnny, Billy, Bobby, Mary, and Jane are dynamically watching Project Hail Mary. Dad is like with them, talking about the main character, and Mom is out cold.
that's right.
She is out cold. Maybe a couple sips of wine. But for her, she had to show up, but she couldn't participate because she didn't have any more gas in the tank. I'll never forget a board meeting I was at. And there were two people on the board, one man, one woman. They snored through the whole meeting. And as a consultant, you zip your mouth up and you literally try to not stand by them so that the executive vice president doesn't see that. Now, to me, as a consultant, I look at that and I'm like, oh, we are in trouble here, folks. But today you're helping us understand that if we just stop for a minute and take a look at this, look at the stages. Then let's switch over now, because then we can look at possibilities, right? Let's take a short break. When we come back, how do we go from I'm done, I can't do this anymore, snoring at the board meeting, Mom out on the couch during Project Hail Mary, whatever that is, whatever that looks like, or better yet, waking up 4 or 5 times at night, you can't sleep. What is it? What is it that you can't turn off? What's going on? But if you understood where you were in the cycle that Manon is talking about, is there something we're going to say today that would have you take a different action? What do you think, Manon? Should we take a short break?
Yep, just a short one. We'll be right
All
back.
right. We'll be right back.
Are you feeling stuck, drained, or disconnected from your true self? Join Manon Deverich and Dr. Pat on Aligned Energy, where ancient wisdom meets modern health and wellness. Tune in every second Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. Discover how energy awareness and alignment can help you reclaim your power, vitality, and purpose. For more information, visit AlignedEnergyHealing.com and start your journey today.
Rethinking your purpose in life? Become a certified hypnotherapist and regressionist today. Bryn Blankenship is a renowned certified master hypnotherapist, international instructor, and author. In addition to her own show, Afterlife Teacher, Soul Lessons Bringing You Full Circle, Bryn is a popular radio show guest who speaks about her soul expression spiritual regression, her transformative method for finding and following your soul's guidance. For more information on her hypnoregression and afterlife regression certification programs, visit brynblankenship.com.
You ever feel it? That whisper just beneath the surface? A deeper part of you ready to rise? At Aligned Energy, we don't just inspire change, we embody transformation. This is where high-performing women come home to themselves, where the masks fall away and the real you steps forward, powerful, radiant, and fully alive. This is Manon, energy alchemist, transformation coach, and best-selling author, guiding women leaders from burnout to purpose. Together, we will reconnect with your innate wisdom to clear energetic blocks and activate your eros and life force, awakening the sensual, sovereign self within. For the wild-hearted, for the ones ready to get clear, stop performing and start becoming. This is your invitation to rise and step into your power, purpose, and possibility. Visit AlignedEnergyHealing.com to book your exploratory call or session today.
Have you ever faced a situation where you weren't quite sure how to handle it with poise, confidence, and grace? Of course you have. We all have. Well, tune in to the Change Mastery Show with me, John J. Murphy. Together, my co-host, Dr. Pat, and I will introduce you to a different way to think about change. Not as something to fear or resist, but as a gift. Join us the second Wednesday of every month at 11 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. Subscribe, share, and start your journey to mastery at johnjmurphy.org.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. I get to have this fun. I get to have fun in my job. I actually get to have fun in my job. And I have to tell you, Manon, I have had fun in most of my jobs. The best job I ever had was selling hot dogs from a hot dog cart on the streets in New York when I was 17. All right. Now, we've talked about a lot. But here's the thing. I don't know about you, but I have not been able to get through things like this in my life without help. I'm sorry. I mean, if left up to my own devices, I'm still at the Port Authority begging for money out of a baseball cap and being told I got the wrong team baseball cap. So I'm not going to give you any money. Oh my God. But I'm smart enough now to know that when I'm in, what did you call it, stuck, I need help to get from, I can't keep living like this, to what are the possibilities of me doing something different. This is the work you do. So how do people work with you? How do they attend the workshops that you run, like in person? Thank you. How do people get connected with you?
The easiest thing to do is either go to manondeverich.com or alignedenergyhealing.com. They both lead to the same landing page where you can book a call with me. No cost, no obligation. Just let me know where you are, where you'd like to be, and we can come up with the best way to do this. I am putting together some retreats and offerings around the sovereign woman concept that will be announced hopefully next month, because that is top of mind for me. It's not individualized services. It really is about meeting you where you are and taking you through a systemized approach to helping you through these life phases.
Yeah. I got to tell you, Manon, I had a therapist when I was in my 38, 39, I was just crazy person, active drinker, but I wanted to change. And I will tell you, if it was not for Dr. Juanita Lovett, who also was an organizational behaviorist psychology, she wasn't just a clinical, she was more like a coach. If it wasn't for her, you and I would not be talking today. So I want to tell people that if you've thrown up your hands and you got the towel going in, which we're going to talk about surrender and the path through right now, if this is you, please know you may have done every single thing in your life by yourself. This is not one of them. This is not the time. You have somebody reaching out to you saying, I can help you with this. Literally, the ball's in your court. So you don't want to dribble. You want to take that 3-pointer right now. So Manon, let's talk about this idea of surrender and the pathway through.
Yeah.
I asked you before, there were 2 things I pointed out. I can't do this anymore. But then there's a next thought. I'm done. And I love when I hear a client say, I'm done. Do you know why?
Why?
I'm done. I need help.
Mm.
I'm throwing in the towel, right? I grew up around a boxing ring because that's another show, but I grew up, I saw a lot of white towels be thrown in the ring and I never understood that. So can you talk about what surrender and the path through looks like for you and what it means for the women?
Sure. Yeah, this is something that I've been writing and reading and talking a lot about the last couple of months, and it really seems to be resonating with everybody. That concept that surrender is not giving up, it's actually releasing your grip, and that it's active and conscious and absolutely necessary for you to move forward from where you are to where you want to be. And when I first titled this episode, it really was with the mindset that so many women hit this point, this inflection point where they can't live like this anymore, but they don't know what to do about it. They don't know aside from not knowing who to call for help, they don't know what's possible to them or what's open or available to them. They might not be able to get themselves out of a sticky situation or feel like they need money to be able to afford to make changes, right?
Big one.
I need to hire a
Huge,
lawyer,
big.
or I need to be able to move out and manage 2 residences until things get situated. I need to separate finances. There's all kinds of, I'm going to call them for what they are, excuses about it. But I think if we just focus on the fact that surrender is not passive, it's not defeat. It's actually the most courageous act available to a woman who has spent her whole life holding everything together through sheer will and not recognizing that anybody could help, or not even thinking to ask anybody else, and just determined to strategize and map it all out yourself. So surrender, to me, this is what I want you to hear. Surrender is the moment that you stop fighting the current and let the river show you where it's going. It's releasing your grip on how things are supposed to look, how you think they're supposed to unfold, and trusting that something larger than your ego has a bigger view of where you're headed. And you will definitely be leaning into a higher power in this situation. I was not a religious person. I was not even a self-proclaimed spiritual person when I went through all of this, but I recognized that there are bigger forces than me and my little brain trying to figure this whole thing out. And if everything wasn't working anymore, maybe there's something outside of me that I could lean into and just listen for guidance. So this is not weakness. This actually requires more strength than most of us could ever imagine. And it's my most proud accomplishment, probably, is having the courage to let go.
Yeah. I love that you shared that because I'm reflecting upon the day that I grew up loving Jesus. Now, not the Jesus that we learn about in the religion. I had my Aunt Grace. Funny name, isn't that? It's a great name, Aunt Grace. Kind as could be. Are you kidding me? And she helped me understand the love of the man that walked the earth, right? And she was what do you call that? A pariah in our family, in our very Catholic family. Aunt Grace was like, are you really sending your kid to spend time with that crazy woman? But she embedded something in me that went beyond just a religion. And it wasn't just Jesus, it was many other things. But then there was a time where I said, I don't love you anymore, dude. Did nothing to me, but something happened until I decided to get clean and sober. Now, warning. Those of you that are like me that walk into the halls of AA, NA, any of the A's, and you get to the chapter called We Agnostic, and you think this was written for me, what you get introduced to, I think there are 114 mentions in one chapter about some form of spirituality. Why am I mentioning that to you? Because nobody gave me any other option than what I grew up with. But you see what you described? You said people have a choice, but the choice isn't to pick yourself. We are limited in things that are over our control. You pick yourself to take care of the things you can take care of in life. But sometimes you have to say, by myself, I can't win this lawsuit. So God of my understanding, Buddha, Kuan Yin, got both of them in the background with a big old fat amethyst and a tree of life. Jesus and Mary are on that side. Just saying, folks. Don't email me. But what you're saying is one of the most powerful forms of transformation. Maybe it's the plant you got back there. But surrender, in your words, means you come to the place where you say, I can't do this by myself. Not that I can't keep living like this. I've been trying to do it by myself and with my ego. And you know, even Einstein couldn't do it with his ego, big fat head ego Einstein. Neither could Carl Jung. So why haven't we learned to do this, Manon?
Why haven't we learned to do it?
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of reinforced behavior of when we were younger, recognizing that when we needed help or asked for help, we didn't get it. And then we did it ourselves. And then we were rewarded for doing it ourselves. And we were complimented. Yeah. And we're like, oh, this actually feels good. So subconsciously, I'm going to do it again and I'm going to get more praise. Or people keep letting me down, or I don't have somebody that can help. And so I have to figure it out on my own. That's why we keep doing it. But, you know, so we have a lot of decades by the time we get to midlife.
Oh my gosh.
You're proof.
I know, but this is part of the bigger frame you're going to talk about. Look, here's a funny story. I'm a kid and I had to iron my dad's shirts. My dad was a big man. Those dang shirts. I mean, come on now. They didn't even fit on the ironing board. It was like ironing a sheet. And I remember my parents saying to me, my mom, Mama Doris, and my dad saying, okay, we're not going to get your bicycle until all these sheets are done. All these shirts are done for a month. Right. So I asked God. I said, okay, you got to help me here. I don't want to do this. You know what I got? I got an answer. I went down the street and I went to Little Vita, my little Italian friend, and I said, I will give you 25 cents of my allowance if you iron my dad's shirts.
You subcontracted.
Nice. I subcontracted it. And she did a better job than I did. So two things happened. I got the bike. But then when I had to iron them, they asked me if I was having a performance problem because I was not going to do them. But it's all part of a bigger frame. Talk about the bigger frame. Walk us through this because this is really the punchline for a lot of people.
I think this is the piece that changes everything and where my background in technology serves me because I'm not asking anyone to take this on faith. I think that the recognition that the body is bio, because we're human biology, we are electromagnetic as a vessel, right? So it's not a spiritual metaphor. It's actually physics. We have a negative and a positive terminal. We have a current running through us. We're a big bag of salt. We're generating an electrical field that's measurable with EKGs and EEGs and ultrasounds and all of these things. So it's a fact. All right. We generate electrical fields and we emit and receive frequencies. Every cell in your body is communicating electromagnetically. So if everything is energy, frequency, and vibration, like Tesla said, then what that means for a woman in this midlife transition is this: you are not a depleted machine running out of resources. You're a field, and fields can be recalibrated. How about that for a reframe? So I've seen chronic pain resolve that has been present for years in myself and others. I've seen women leave relationships that they've been unable to leave for a long time, not because they finally summoned the courage for it, but because their energetic field, I believe, shifted and this relationship just couldn't hold anymore. You know, if you take the emotion out of it and you just look at it from more of a scientific standpoint, like there are more things at play here than just us trying to honor a legal contract with one another. You know, there are forces that are pulling us apart, I believe. And I would give yourself grace and permission to see them as something other than, you know, what might be in the 3D. So once you start recalibrating, you will, I believe, start see creative capacities return that, you know, you might have, you know, I never thought that I was a creative person because I thought creativity was art or decorating or aesthetics. And like now I see that I'm building companies. That is creating. I'm building offerings. I'm writing things like I'm writing chapters for books. I'm writing my own book. I'm writing programs and methodologies. That is all creating. I'm designing retreats. And it's so invigorating. I feel like that was all shut down before. And I just feel like when a woman is becoming more herself than she's ever been, like more present and more magnetic and more clear about what she wants and what she will no longer tolerate, that is when she's reclaiming this life force. And we can certainly get into it in another time about what that's actually meaning in your chakras. And we actually have done that in the past. I feel like when you're reclaiming your life force, it's actually operating you from this energetic coherence rather than depletion, right? It's building. It's building your cerebral spinal fluid. It's building your chi. It's building your innate wisdom. Everything just starts moving. Your toroidal field starts becoming more it just more bolstered with vitality and resilience and everything. Like, so there is a way that we can tap into this. And I love helping people through this. This is why I'm doing the healing and the coaching and the erotic blueprints, and that they all collectively together are working to help people through this this releasing, this becoming, this and then this rising. That's how it becomes this whole process and system, right? It really isn't linear. It's pretty if you can see my hands moving, it's very cyclic.
No, I understand what you're saying because let's talk about it because we started to talk about some of the indigenous people and what they do in the stages. Here's the punchline. Before we had doctors, before we knew about, okay, modern surgery, before there was a pill potion, I'm not going to say lotion, but before there was something we could go to your pharmacy down the street and get, the people that were the healers understood the full holistic spectrum of everything. And this is so important. You know, you could go and get your back fixed or you get adjusted or do those things. But if you are listening to this, because this is very fresh for me. So that client I told you about who gave me permission I could share this, the client I told you about who is totally projecting, Caitlin Clark, who also has a back injury. When we looked at that, walked in with a back injury, like the next week. And we talked about it. And when you think about the energetic, emotional, and mental imbalance that a back injury signifies, it's to your point. You see, people may come to us and say, fix my back. And I say, I am not a doctor like that. I'm not a chiropractor. But if you're willing to explore what's out of balance in your terms, what's not aligned, do you have any issues, unresolved stress? Are you carrying the weight or the burden of past trauma responsibility? And what happens for women in the stage we're talking about, one of the things this represents, limiting beliefs, negative coping mechanisms, nervous system sensations, and career and financial stress.
Yeah. And back issues map to a feeling of not being supported, especially economically supported. And just in the last week, I had some work done where it was where the intuitive healer, I had two intuitive healers this week do two different, very different sessions on me. Both of them said what was happening with my hips was number one, I needed a balancing of masculine and feminine energy because I needed to feel the structure and support of the masculine to hold all of the creating and creativity and becoming that was happening. And then the second one said that my hips actually needed to widen to hold all of the creativity and the becoming that was happening. So to your point, there are messages in all of these signs and symptoms and pains.
Yeah. And you know, that brings us around, right? Because what becomes possible, Manon, when a woman can recalibrate?
I would say that when we talk about this rising concept, when we can uh, reclaim our agency and step into our power and all these, cliche terms that you hear, speak your voice, that's all becoming this sovereign woman concept. And ultimately what's underneath that is healing and abundance and relationships and purpose and all these things that open up when you are consciously choosing to live a life that fuels you, that feels fulfilling, that lights you up. You're following your passion. It's our life is supposed to be fun and full of passion. And that's the path that if you have 5 different things that you're trying to choose from, Bashar says follow the one that gives you the most passion, and I love that. That's proven itself to me. So I just feel like this concept of rising, it's not rising to who you were before the breaking, right? Let's be very clear. You're walking
Right.
away from a lot of old identity and attachment and material and relationships and ideas and beliefs that you had in that. And you are transmuting this into arriving at somebody that you could not have imagined before you started. And it's somebody that's aligned. It's not living from fear. Yeah, it's knowing the difference between what you were told that you wanted and what you actually feel alive in doing and bringing, and then having the sovereignty to decide what you're going to do with that aliveness. If you're going to bring it to your partner, to your work, to your passions, and to your hobbies. And it's not just a point in time destination, right? It's an orientation. It's like a North Star. It's a way of moving through the world now and becoming just open to limitless potential.
Yeah. I love what you just said. I love it, because if you cannot see it in yourself, like I couldn't, and I get asked a lot of questions, people are finding all sorts of things about me that I must have said. And now with AI, you can take any show and like it'll spit something out about you. But I love this one question that I get. Pat, we've heard you talk about how you stood up at Belcour for the rights of a woman with 29 years, 11 months of service who was going to lose her pension. We heard you talk about that, and you lost your job. Do you regret that? And my answer is, do I regret it? Do you know what the regrets I think about of that experience? If I would not have done it, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have gone back to school. I wouldn't have gotten this thing called Dr. Pat that now has nothing to do with my degree. I wouldn't be able to work with countless people on a network that transformed talk. But you were 6 months away from a pension. And I said, 6 months away. That 6 months under those situations probably would have killed me in a lot of ways. And I looked at this guy, Manon, and I said, if not physically, it would have killed my soul.
Yeah.
That's the rising you're talking about. It's rising to get aligned. Isn't that that's your brand? It's rising to get aligned with the soul path that is planned for you. An amazing journey.
That's right. And none of us know what the path looks like or where it's going to lead. There's no possible way. And I think that women really would like the assurance to know that they can put their head down and map out, like a chess game, a number of steps ahead to give them certainty. And it doesn't work like that. You just have to recognize that what you're doing right now is not it. It's not going to change on its own. It's going to be a little scary. And there are people around you that you can lean on for help. Certainly myself, certainly coaches, but even just in your community, in your sisterhood. And you don't have to know the whole path. You just need to take the honest step toward yourself. That's where it begins.
Thank you for this. This is so good. And I know my clients are listening to this because they gave me permission, but we need to know how to work with you. You gotta end up with that. You gotta tell people how they can get a hold of you.
To work with me, please visit alignedenergyhealing.com. Click the big old book a call button at the top, and I would be happy to jump on a call and meet you where you are.
Yeah. And here's what I want to say to all y'all. I have 5 coaches. I really do. One of them happens to be my table tennis coach, but I do because I'm like you. Manon is like you. We can talk about this because we are you. We know what it's like. But we're also the rising part of you. That part, if you reach out and get some help today, a hand up, you'll be able to have a show like this maybe one day and share your experience so you could help other women. Pay forward your pain by healing it with Manon. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Aligned Energy, where ancient wisdom meets modern health and wellness. This is Manon.
And I'm Dr. Pat.
Join us for more inspiration to step into your power and reconnect with your inner wisdom. Be sure to tune in every second Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. I invite you to like and subscribe to Aligned Energy with Manon on your favorite platform. And if you're ready to go deeper, visit alignedenergyhealing.com to book a healing or coaching session or schedule a complimentary discovery call. Until next time, stay aligned, stay empowered, and embrace the energy that is uniquely yours. See you next time.